Good evening and welcome to General Council for June 24, 2025. Number one, attendance roll call. Councilor Amos Key is unable to join us tonight. Go ahead.
Carrie Bombery.
Audrey Paulus Bobbery.
Dale Bombery.
Hazel Johnson. Melba Thomas.
Elena Venevri.
Cynthia Jameson.
And Councilor Helen Miller is on vacation. And Councilor Dean Hill will be coming online right now. And Councilor Greg Fraser and Councilor Leslie Green would be joining us shortly. So let's go to number 2, identification of media. I don't see any media. Let's go to number 3. Let's take a moment to reflect and remember and pay respects to those that we have recently lost. Let's take a moment. Thank you. Let's go to number 4. Adoption of the agenda. I just have one addition. Just after Chief's updates, can we have the CEO update put there? Audrey? You're moving it? Moved by Audrey, second by Melba. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 5, delegations. We have one delegation tonight, science education and employment development, the SEED program. Come on up to the front. Welcome tonight. So if you can introduce yourself, and when you talk, you just have to push the button and the red light will come off. And when you're not speaking, can you just shut it off so for everybody else? Okay, welcome.
Thank you. It's Rebecca Jameson here, Six Nations Polytechnic, and I also serve on the Science Education and Employment Development Committee. And I'm here with a representative from Imperial, Natasha Tennant, who will be doing the presentation to Council. Just a reminder that we're here to report on the agreement that was signed 23 years ago. Yes. And I guess I'll have to admit that I've been on the committee ever since. So we do have representation from the federal schools, from the Grand Erie Board, and from GREAT and Six Nations Polytechnic. We serve on the committee, as well as representatives from Imperial Oil who are with us this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Natasha to do the presentation.
Thank you very much. Hopefully in this chair I'm okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. So first of all, I just want to introduce myself, Natasha Tennant. I also want to very much thank the Chief and Council for giving us this opportunity to talk to you about our 2024 achievements with the SEED Committee and also our 2025 plans. I also wanted to acknowledge that I know that there was a death in the community today, so really our deepest condolences to everybody that's affected today. If we want to go to the next slide. So Rebecca mentioned that this has been a 23-year agreement that we've had with the SEED Committee that was first started in 2002. And we did recently do a bit of an update to the agreement and extended it until the end of 2029. But it has been in place since 2022, And we have been able through that time, through joint representation with the Six Nations Elected Council and Imperial, the Joint Seed Committee, and representatives from Imperial, been able to allocate $6.4 million towards support of a variety of community programs and initiatives that really focus on employment and education in science, technology, and trades. And really, we're looking to build out the opportunity for Imperial to help in these community programs, being present in them, so that we can highlight as well the potential for local employment and business opportunities we have in the area. Okay. If we go to the next slide, you know, our seed committee goals have not really changed. They remain unchanged. And what we're really looking to do here is use the funding to benefit Six Nation members, measuring success and adjusting as needed, all in collaboration. So when we look in subsequent slides about our budget and the programs that we run, all of this is done through, that's perfect, we can stay on that slide, through the governance committee that's made up, like Rebecca mentioned, of Six Nations and Imperial, that really decide on what are the key programs that we want to run that will help support the community the best that they can. So from the Six Nations, just wanted to highlight, because we've had a few updates in the last year or so. We still have a co-chair position that's still to be slated for the 2024-2025 program. However, we've had a ton of support from Rebecca and her team at SNP and STEAM Academy. Anne and Theta, who would have loved to be here, but they're at the grade 7 and grade 8 graduation ceremony. So, and then Jessica Lay, and recently replaced by Stacy Hill, who's part of the Grand Erie District School Board, and then Jerica is part of GREAT. From the Imperial side, last year you would have had Mike Ciccone represent Imperial here. So Mike has recently moved on to another role in a similar space in terms of what work that we're doing within Indigenous communities, but he's now moved to Alberta, so he's based out of Calgary now, and I took over the role in March and took over as the co-chair of the seed committee from the Imperial side in May of this year. And then we have two folks who sit at our Nanticoke refinery, Michelle Camilleri and Carolyn Francis. And when we think about who should be sitting on this committee from Imperial side, when you think about our assets and potentially, you know, either employment opportunities or co-op opportunities, our Nanticoke refinery is actually the closest to the Six Nations community. We're only about 25, 30 minutes away. And so that makes the most sense to have them represented. And again, we have Jody Grant. I also want to highlight, she's not on the page, but Jody Grant here, who's our refinery manager at Nanticoke and is a big supporter of this program. So just want to say thank you to her and thank you for your being here and your support through the years. Okay. If we go to the next slide. So our annual budget originally in 2002 when we started was $250,000. Since 2016, we've implemented a CPI adjustment. So when we look at our 2024 budget, that's actually gone up to $356,000. And all funds are directed to programs with a very small allocation, and we'll touch on that, but for administrative costs, it's less than 1.5%. So really, all the money that we're talking about today is going direct into community programs. Okay. So if we go to the next slide. So this is the exciting part, I think, of what we're here to talk about today is what we've been able to do in 2024. So if we look at the highlights for what we've spent, and the way that we've broken this down is, you know, the different level of, I guess, schooling or children that we're, and community members that we're touching with all of these programs. So the first one for elementary schools and students, we spent about $90,000. I'm going to highlight three kind of main places that this money was spent. The first is the Mad Science Day Camps. So this was completed 3 weeks of science camp provided to Six Nations students between grades 1 through 6 for the summer of 2024. It was held at SNP and it provided an opportunity for 75 students. This is always a very popular camp, and certainly something that we want to continue in the future. And we're actually finalizing the numbers for this year again. So it will take place again because we have a wait list for this program, which is actually great to see. We also supported the science fairs and cultural science, so focused primarily on outdoor education to learn more about traditional ways in science. And funding was put towards tools for students and elder and guest speakers. And then one of the new items that we did for 2024 was this social networking safety. So we brought in a new speaker to come to talk to our grade 5 to grade 8 students and really to talk about the world that we live in now and social media and how to safely, bless you, how to safely be able to be online but still understand the risks. And this actually was quite well attended. We were able to have 510 students from grade 5 to 8 attend and got very positive feedback from the schools on that. If we switch to then secondary schools and students, we spent about $59,000 there supporting homework support tutoring. And this is a program that supports grades 5 through 12, and it basically provides them access to teacher tutors. And typically what we see is support in math, literacy, research, and written essays and reporting. In the backup of this presentation that we shared, you'll see some statistics in terms of the reach of this program. So when we looked at who was signing in for this, we serviced about 250 students came in through the program. You'll see it kind of makes sense. A lot of them are in grade 9 and in grade 12, so those kind of transition years, so when they're starting high school and when they're ending. And what we typically see is that there's an uptick in when exams will take place. So we see a lot of folks coming in November, December, and then kind of at the tail end of the school year as well. And then we have the STAY Awards, which recognize hard work and commitment of Six Nation students in grades 7 through 12 who have achieved top marks in math and science. And the awards range from $100 to $400 per student. And last year we gave about $13,000 out. If we go on to post-secondary, we spent about $31,000 there. There were 2 students who received SEED scholarships, which amounted to about $10,000. And then we did have a Nanticoke summer student position that we filled. And this is actually a wonderful news story. So this gentleman came back for 2 years, if we look at 2024, and now is going to do his final co-op term with us, a third co-op term. He's an engineering student from the community, and we've loved having him. Obviously, him coming back 3 years in a row, hopefully that means he's loved being there. And certainly that's kind of what we want to see. We want to be able to have those opportunities, have those co-ops, have them come back and see the value of getting that experience, that real life experience. Okay. And then for Six Nations Polytechnic, we spent about $90,000, primarily on land camp curriculum development and trade support. If we go into employment and business development, so through GREAT, we spent about $79,000. Part of that was the welding program. So we had 12 students in welding level 1 that we supported and 9 students in metal fabrication. And we also gave 2 apprentice awards with those funds as well. So we were able to support folks going through that program. And again, I do want to note that there are admin fees paid to SNP, but as you can tell, they're, very low. They're not even 2%. They're 1.3 of the total. Any questions before I go on to 2025? Nope. Okay, go ahead. Okay. So when we look at, what do we want to do for 2025 and understanding that we're kind of halfway through the year. So want to highlight that, our key objectives have not changed. We're still enhancing promotion of the seed and opportunities with Imperial and Six Nations, supporting development skills for environmental work and STEM, and improving STEM success and high school graduation rates. And so we wanted here to highlight a few things that are being enhanced or changed for 2025. So the first one is every year we've been taking some STEAM students to come and tour our Nanticoke refinery. And the students were very clear that they said, that's great, but we want to see what it really looks like to work at a refinery. Can you not just, we want to see the inner workings. And so we took that feedback to heart. And as of last year, we started bringing them through the control room so they can really get a bit of a better flavor of what it really looks like to work in a refinery. And that was extremely well received by the students. So we're going to try to do as much as we can, obviously with safety consideration, because we are at a operating refinery, to try to get them to understand what it would look like to work at Imperial. The second one is supporting great welding programs. So, continuing to support welding techniques level 1, and then the right program is returning for spring of 2025. We actually opened up a second opportunity for a co-op student, a summer co-op student at our Nanticoke refinery as well. So last year we weren't able to fill that position, but this year I'm happy to say that we have. So for 2025, we have 2 co-op students. So we have the engineering student that we talked about, and then an operations student. And what that operational role is really interesting because it gives that student the opportunity to kind of transition through a few roles in the refinery to give them a flavor of what they might like, what they might enjoy, and also it doesn't just curtail them to one experience. So it hopefully gives them a bigger breadth of experience within that one summer. So we hope to continue that into next year as well. And finally, and I think this was an ask from last year, we are supporting SNP post-secondary environmental science program development. That's about a $73,000 investment in that curriculum. So I don't know. That's something that we're really looking forward to seeing to completion. If we go to the next slide, so I just wanted to highlight here, we always want to look at when we're looking at these programs and collaborating where we want to put the funds, where we want to make sure that we're investing the dollars in. We really take a look at these success metrics. These are not new from, these were the same that we've been presenting last year as well. But I do want to highlight some of those that, where we're starting to see increased applications for seed awards, increased applications for scholarships, now being able to secure 2 co-op positions versus just the one. I think that's where, when we continue to monitor these and really try to truly focus on them, is where we're starting to see that change, with the understanding that the seed program is just one part of an overall learning journey. But it's happy to see that, those 23 years of this program, we're seeing some of those successes now, which is quite nice. So that's all the information that we had for you today. Wanted to see if there's any questions or feedback.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Go ahead, Councillor Johnson, and then Councillor Bomberry, and then Councillor Paulus Bomberry.
I just want to ask, have you ever considered incorporating the Sylvan learning into these programs? Because I know there's a lot of Native children that are going from the reserve to Brantford to acquire help. And that's up to grades 5. There's a lot of children, and it is very costly. So I'm thinking, couldn't that seed program also help that group?
So you're talking about elementary schools?
Yeah.
So we do spend funds within the elementary school programs. It just depends on which programs would be part of it, but we'd be open to understanding what specific programs you're thinking about.
Can you use your mic?
It's a tutoring program. Sylvan Learning is a tutoring program that helps the young children.
I can say that at SNP, we have looked at it previously. It is costly, and it's very specific to certain courses that students are looking to achieve credit for. And so we decided to go with the approach we have, because students can come in from any course of taking from grades 9 to 12, and we have tutors there who are flexible enough to work with them. So, but it's something we can look at again in terms of the cost effectiveness of it, absolutely. Because I know my own granddaughter took Sylvan, so yeah.
follow-up. I'd like it to be provided out here on the reserve for the little kids to go, because I have a little great-grandson that has to go there, and it's very costly. And it's like 2 times a week, so.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, that student that is going in for his third year at the refinery, is he taking a trade? Is he learning a trade there, or is he?
So his background is engineering. So he's focusing on the engineering. I don't know, Jody, if you can speak to specific work that he's doing at the refinery. I'm not sure.
Can you come up so you just push the button there?
Yeah, he's a Western University student who's studying civil engineering. So for the last 2 terms, he's been in our maintenance department. So I would say working with the trades, but not developing a trade specifically himself. I think more, I mean, a little bit guessing here, but probably more on the planning side.
Audrey?
Yeah, just to follow up with what Hazel was saying, we have the lifelong learning and task force, and one of the goals that we have is to develop Six Nations' own Sylvan or Kuman, but based on the needs of our students here on Six Nations. So that might be a good starting area, Rebecca and friend there, because when students have had such a difficult time now with COVID, and not everybody learns on a computer or knows how to handle it. Parents, same thing. So there were lots of problems. And there are lots of gaps. So anything that you could do to even initiate that, start it, to get it going, would be great. But it's for the elementary, primary grades, which are 1 to 3, and your junior grades 4 to 6, intermediate grades 7 to 8. And that is the basic skills of reading and math. And so some science, and that would be wonderful. But yes, we're looking at, that's a real high need.
Thank you for
Especially-
sharing that. We'll put that as a follow-up.
Wonderful. And I think you guys are doing a really good job. So I'll move that when it's time to move.
Cynthia?
I was just going to add to what Hazel said, but I hear say elementary school. It's just my own daughter, when she went to BCI, found out she was skipping because she didn't understand. It was math and English. So I took her to Sylvan's, and yeah, it costs an arm and a leg. So I don't know if it's just restricted to elementary, but that was her.
Elena?
And excuse me, I don't know if it's that, if I get exposed to carpeting, I get a sneezing fit. I'm not sick, I'm just.
Go ahead, Elena.
Just having an allergic reaction to me. I'm just looking at the additional information slide. So it shows the sign-ins for the homework support program, and there seems to be a bigger jump in October and November. What does that coincide with anything in particular?
They're testing. So like
High school?
exam. Yeah.
And then she just mentioned BCI. I don't see BCI on the list of sign-ins by school.
We just listed the top ones. I think there were some, but they weren't in the top ranking. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I guess maybe just a little follow-up. Is there more support put in place for those 2 months when you see a higher sign-in, or is the support there, does that remain the same and then it's just spread thinner?
My understanding is they schedule according to demand, so I think it does change when they know the need is higher. Yeah.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, I was there when they were taking the building to take the sulfur out of the gas. I think that was in '03. Yeah, and I was there again when it was still Texaco. Yeah, but the safety is something else there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a mover moved by Audrey as information, seconder. second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you for coming in. Let's go to number 6. Moved by Elena for the adoption of the general council minutes for June 10th. Moved by Elena, seconder. Second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 7. Chief's updates. Let's go to June 5th and 6th. I traveled to Dufferin County for the second stop of the Haldeman Track municipal engagements. I met with the warden of Dufferin County and the 4 mayors representing the lower tier municipalities that overlap the Haldeman Tract. These meetings presented opportunities for Six Nations to build relationships with municipalities and work cooperatively together to increase the public awareness of Six Nations and our history with the Haldeman Tract lands through municipal land acknowledgements and historical plaques. June 11th, Councillor Fraser and I visited the wildfire evacuees that have been relocated in Niagara Falls. Six Nations departments have been providing support where we can, including primary care support, use of the health bus for clinic space, mental health and addiction support, and coordination with Ontario Health for further support for the evacuees as needed. We are also planning to host a welcome event for the evacuees in Six Nations. Planning is underway and more information will be available as the schedules are confirmed. And thank you to all our hardworking staff. I would like to thank the community for their support to the evacuees by gathering and delivering donations to the hotel sites in Niagara Falls. On June 12th, I attended and offered my congratulations to the graduates of Six Nations Polytechnic convocation to celebrate the outstanding achievement of students who have shown academic excellence. 141 students walked across the stage receiving their degrees, diplomas, and certificates. This was the largest graduating class for Six Nations Polytechnic to date. Congratulations to all the hardworking students on a well-deserved recognition. Deloitte meeting. On June 13th, I attended a virtual meeting with Deloitte Canada's partner in audit and assurance. I requested this meeting to address community concerns regarding Deloitte's administration of the Indian Day School class action and the ongoing First Nations Child and Family Services and Jordan's Principal settlement class action. Our administrative staff are working to draft a proposal outlining the understanding requests for support from Six Nations. On June 13th, I met with the new owners of Best Western in Brantford as they are interested in building a better relationship with Six Nations. The meeting was to identify the potential needs of Six Nations and discuss ways that Best Western could support. The Chief's Operating Officer will continue to meet with Best Western to explore ways that the Best Western can support Six Nations. From June 16th to the 19th, I attended the Chiefs of Ontario 50th Anniversary Assembly alongside Councillors Dean Hill, Cynthia Jamieson, Amos Key, Audrey Paulus Bomberry, and Greg Fraser. The Chiefs of Ontario Assembly agenda was revised to accommodate a rally in Ottawa regarding Bill C5. Available councillors and I joined Chiefs in Assembly at the rally on Parliament Hill on Tuesday, June 27th. 10 resolutions were passed during the assembly. Chiefs in Assembly also discussed the possibility of a virtual special Chiefs Assembly in August to accommodate further discussion and advocacy regarding Ontario Bills 5 and Canada's Bill C5. And yeah, that looks like on my update. Is there a mover to accept my update? Moved by Greg, second by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none. Carried. So let's go to, this was one addition. We'll have the CEO update. Go ahead, Tracy.
Just wanted to provide an update for the community regarding the recent flooding. Um, we, we're currently assessing the damages and we are trying to adhere to establishing the protocols. So we're looking at assessment, remediation, and restoration. At this stage, we're focused on the assessment phase. We haven't even gotten to the point where we understand how affected some of the buildings are. Um, so we're still focusing on the very first part. What we're looking at, though, is an industrial hygienist will come in and specifically for the area of the lodge. I know that this has been a real concern for the community, and I understand we're working as quickly and as diligently as possible to get them back to their home. Um, for those of you who don't know, an industrial hygienist is the professional who takes a look at any of the situations that would cause a health and safety risk. They are the professionals in this and will continue to guide us for what it is that we need to do to ensure that we have a safe home for our residents to return to. Um, Unfortunately, at this point, we can't really provide an exact timeline because it depends on the outcome of our assessments. We're not even certain what buildings outside of our immediate focus have been affected. So, I mean, we do know that obviously the Lodge, J. Silver Hills Complex, Central Admin. We recently learned the Records Building is very affected. We do have rental units that people are calling in to say that they're been affected, home and community care. So we're still finding out how many people have been affected and to what degree. So assessment is still happening. For those that were looking for support who may not have insurance, we are looking to recover as much as we can through insurance. And we have secured some resources in order for us to be able to deploy them to private residents who may not have insurance to be able to help them with. You can certainly call into the crisis line, give them your information. If you require some assistance, please let them know. The receptionist or the person answering the call will take down all your information and assure that it gets sent directly to the people who can deploy resources as soon as possible. Because the resources right now that we're getting are outside of our community, because obviously our community is just stretched to the max in terms of providing resources. So we will be making sure that all those folks understand that this is an outside agency that would be coming in, and we would certainly look to ensure that you are comfortable with that. We would make sure that there is some, I guess there would be some appropriate documentation so that you would know that they are bonded and they are, suitable for this. And you definitely have a choice to acknowledge them coming in your home.
Audrey?
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit with more examples? I guess what would the homeowner be, excuse me, be looking for? Is this for help with cleaning up? Is it for help with replacement of anything? Is it for help with buying a larger sump pump? Those types of things. Yeah, well,
So thank you. We're looking at providing whatever resources that we can. So yes, it would be help with cleaning up, depending on the whatever program that services that might be able to assist in terms of replacing things. We're looking at doing those things if possible. We're still reaching out to various organizations, including ISC, to try and secure funding for replacing some of these items for our community needs. So that hasn't been solidified yet, but we are working diligently on that. I know that Chief Hill has had some calls, and we're talking every day to everybody who will listen to us, and even some of those who are not willing to listen to us, to see if we can get our situation resolved as quickly as possible. But I would say for community, please call in. At this point, we can't determine that every single solitary bit of your items would be replaced, but we can say that we can provide you with some help if you need help cleaning out a basement, or you need help getting rid of some of your destroyed property. For sure, that at minimum we can do that, and we will certainly look at trying to replace some of the things and looking to some of our services here to assist. So please call in, please use please use the crisis line. We have people there who are manning it 24/7, and we are taking the information and we are making sure that we get those resources deployed as quickly as possible. Um, just in terms of I'm actually going to skip over the situation with the lodge, and I'm going to defer to our chief operating officer to give us a bit of an update on that. Her expertise is health, in spite of the fact that she has many expertise areas, I'm finding. So I will leave that portion to her. And again, I'd like to reiterate that we are certainly in the assessment stage at this point. And I know that it's very, very frustrating for people in the community, and we understand that you are undergoing this trauma on a daily basis. We have a team, a fairly large team, that are meeting every day to get updates, to look at remediation, what the assessment is. We're taking notes, we're contacting people. I know that that's not helpful to you necessarily if you are still sitting in a house that's basement's flooded, but please contact us and use the line. We'll make sure if if there's any way for us to possibly help, we're committed to doing that and listening to what it is that the community requires during this very difficult time. I guess I'll just take some quick questions before I have Deb come up.
Is there any questions? Oh, I don't see any.
Are there is there anything that council would like me to address that I haven't touched on for that particular update?
Go ahead, Hazel, and then we'll have Deb.
I guess when you're saying that there's help, that means in the entire reserve, is that right?
That's correct.
So then, for myself, I'm speaking, we've had a flood in our rec room where they had to tear out all the floor. Today, me and the insurance fella didn't get along too well because he's telling me, well, you have to tear out that wall. And I says, well, wouldn't you tear it out and put it back? Because you have to find the source of the flood, and it's coming. He assumes that it's coming through the cracks in a poured foundation. I don't know. But he's telling me that's all my cost. So I have a man coming in from an outside company tomorrow to give us some insight into where do you start if the insurance doesn't want to help you after you've been paying them for 80 years? You'd think you'd get all kinds of help, but no, it doesn't happen that way. Thanks.
Yeah, so unfortunately, insurance companies are a bit of an oxymoron. We pay into them and hoping that they're going to be able to assist us when we require it, but then it appears that their goal is to try and pay as little as possible back when we need something. I would suggest for those people that are in that particular situation that we might be able to assist with some sort of mediation, helping you discuss things with the insurance company, maybe acting as advocacy on your behalf. And that would be something that we would be certainly willing to take into consideration for any community member who seems to be having difficulty. I can't necessarily promise a positive outcome, but I think that we're certainly willing to do what we can to try and assist. Now, having said that, I also need to add that we have staff that are displaced as a result of this flooding. We have a control group that is meeting daily, and each one of them have very large responsibilities within their jobs. So while everyone is very dedicated to getting this situation under control as quickly as possible and assisting the community, that's a tall order to fill. So we're certainly doing our best. If you need something, call. We will certainly make sure if there's something that we can do, we will absolutely do what we can do. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Deb.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to bring you an update on Iroquois Lodge situation. So as you know, they were impacted by the tremendous downpouring of rain and then subsequent flooding that we experienced throughout the village of Bishwegan. I want to take this time to really commend our staff for getting them immediately relocated to a new long-term care home, and know that they worked hard getting the last group of residents to the new long-term care facility at 3 a.m. in the morning. So they worked hard to do that. Our residents are there. We know that they're lonesome for home. Our staff are lonesome for home, and our families of these residents also want them home. We need to first make sure that the lodge is safe for them to return. It did experience a significant amount of flooding. And what that process is, like Tracy mentioned, is first of all assessing the damage. That's what we're doing right now. Secondly, we look at remediation. What does that entail? And for anybody familiar with flooding, normally it means that you have to remove some of the damaged structure in order to be able to restore it or replace it. So I would love to sit here and tell you a time frame, but right now we just cannot do that. And the reason we can't, as I said again, um, our residents are important to us. We need to make sure that the space that they're returning to is safe and healthy for them. So we need to do this right, and that's exactly what we intend to do. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but know that we are meeting daily to discuss this situation, not just with the lodge, but all the other areas that have been impacted, and also taking a look at the calls we've been getting from the community. A lot of them are the same. People that have never experienced flooding like this in their homes have now done that. And so looking at what is the widespread issues that are out amongst our community as well.
Okay, thank you for that update. Is there any questions? If not, can I have a mover to accept the CEO and the COO's update? Can I have a mover first? Moved by Melba. Seconder, second by Carrie. Go ahead, question, Elena.
Yeah, I had one family contact me and say that they weren't contacted when the flooding was happening, and like they found out like through the grapevine, and their family member was moved, but how can they expect to know, and is everybody going to be informed the same way when it's time to go back? So I did clarify that point today, and from what I've been told, families were contacted to let them know. We have to take into consideration the frenzy of the evening as well. The priority was getting people to the alternate site, not making phone calls, but those phone calls did happen. And so what we've discussed yesterday and today was regular communication updates to the family, but in writing. So our communications officer is working with the acting administrator of the lodge for those updates, as well as our senior manager of facilities who's there every day doing those assessments and helping with that, so that weekly we can provide an update to families. And there is a number that they've already put out to the families of where to call if they have information. Okay?
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you, Deb, and thank you, Tracy. Let's go to number 8, update from committee meetings. Let's go to number 1, lands and resource, wealth and economy. An update from your meeting from Tuesday, June 10th. Yep, go ahead, Cynthia.
Yeah, we have nothing to report in that we were unable to achieve a quorum for our meeting.
Thank you. Can we go to 8.2, the community committee? The meeting date was Wednesday, June 11th. Go ahead, Dean.
Yep, thank you, Chief. So during our committee meeting, we officially appointed our co-chair. So our co-chair is Dale Bomberry. So that was passed throughout that meeting. Another thing we did discuss was the creation of a Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus council under our council departments, most likely social services. This will help promote inclusivity amongst ourselves, also bring awareness to the various different organizations in the community, and just to give everybody a voice at the table, especially when it comes to our council table in here. So in the future, hopefully, with the creation of these councils, in the future, we'll be able to have representatives also be a part of the meetings that we have in here as well, not just through the committee, but also to have their voice to say in some of the decisions that we make on behalf of the community, just so everybody is represented. So that's pretty much the major updates from our committee. That's pretty well everything right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Can I have a mover to accept Dean's update from the community committee? Mover, moved by Hazel. Seconder? Second by Greg. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 3, built environment and climate adaptation, lands and membership. Go ahead, Dale.
Thank you. I know I got a lot of papers here, so I'm gonna try and stay on track with, because I know I've asked the departments that report to my committee to give me a summary, and I know I sent the one from Derek, I sent it to all you guys in regards to the summary, so I'll just try and touch on some of them. I know a lot of the employers or the supervisors, they include almost everything they do, and a lot of it's consistent stuff that they always do, so it may not be directly impacting the community, so I'll just highlight some of the things that do. So we have built environment, we have Derek Hill, who's the supervisor there, manager, or senior director, and the new hospice. I know it was True North was hired originally way back when they were running it as a private, from a private donator. And then First Nations was hired to do some technical services, and that was through a tender. So right now, they're looking at the building design is about 66% complete. They're working on some legal surveys with some land. And the only other work is some civil engineering work that needs to be done in regards to some of the infrastructure. So First Nations Engineering is working on that. So hopefully they can do this in conjunction, because there's some other projects. When I talk about the infrastructure, I'm talking about the water and wastewater. So because of some other bills that are going to be happening in the area with the Gowaneo and the police station and potentially Polytech. So there's looking long-term wise in relation to what's the best direction ahead to be able to service all these new facilities with all the new administration and staff and support. So hopefully that'll be done. Hopefully this fall, that'll get done. The other one that they're working on is the Iroquois Lodge, which is looking at a 64 bed for long-term facilities. And right now they got some acronyms here, and I don't have the full name of the company, but HDR is the architectural firm, and MTE is doing the infrastructure. So right now they're in a process of doing spacing requirements of what it will need to be able to what the needs will be for that new law before they can start design. So there's currently in that phase right now. The public library and archival repository building, which started probably way back in 2009, 2010. And I know council did have some funding available in 2012 where KL Martin Company did the design in 2012. So I think in 2023, he was asked to do an update and or 2024. So he's working on that and on updating because it's been so long for that building. So there's been a lot of changes, law changes, legal changes. So he's currently working through that first phase now to update that. And he's looking to have that completed in the spring. Gowanio, everyone knows what's going on there. I know they're looking at starting construction hopefully this summer for that building. And again, the other issue that they're working on is the infrastructure issue to be able to tie in that facility. So, and that's for Gowanio. Records building, I know they have some, the records building is an older building right now. It's used to be the water treatment plant way back in 69, I guess, when it originally was installed. So, and as we heard from some of the from Tracy's update, they did have some flooding issues, and I know that building is very critical to our community. So that was part of the public library and archival center. So once we look at securing dollars for that building, that's where our records building will be moving to. So I know it's a high need, and hopefully with the issue of it's an older building and the new flooding now. I mean, I guess the degree of importance has just risen up a little because we need to take care of all our historical records and documents that we have here in relation to Six Nations. And some of these are just some other issues they're doing some work at the Child and Youth Center, Stone Ridge, the Birthing Center, doing some work on the Glee property in relation to just some environmental stuff with our Sarah Curley Smith. They're looking on doing some cleanup there. And an interim health facility, I think Greg had talked about this a while back. They're looking at setting that up. It's going to be at the entrance at the arena complex. And some of them are just some of the other projects they're working on is just some general repairs that they're doing on the arena, Parks and Rec facilities, Iroquois Lodge repairs, and part of the other, I guess this stuff that was already happening prior to the flood. And then also looking at a sprinkler system for the Iroquois Lodge for interim stuff. So that's for the built environment with Derek. One of the other departments is the lands membership. Now I apologize right now because I know Lori gave me a chart on all the data she does with births, status cards, death certificates, marriage, and everything. So, but I can't find my chart. But one thing they are making a change for operational wise, like almost from every day they would close at noon just because of staff, so they could go for lunch. So now they're proposing to change that as well as have Monday to Thursday for people to walk in to get their status cards because it only used to be I think a Thursday, Friday. So now they're going to be doing it from Monday to Thursday, from 9 to 9:30. The office will be open for anybody who wants to walk in and needs their status card update. And I know Lori, she's keeping track of Bill 2, which is some amendments to the Indian Act that has to do with inequities on enfranchisement, voluntary deregistration, and affiliation or reaffiliation and membership, and removal of outdated and offensive language related to a dependent person. So she'll be keeping an eye on that. As part of Lori's program through ISK, she had to take part of a professional development unit, which is the National Aboriginal Land Managers Association. And I think she's graduating, she'll be having a graduating ceremony in October, I do believe. And as part of that, she was recognized within her class because of her commitment, experience, and dedication and inspiration she has for the program as to others. So they want to do some filming on her to showcase her um, and do, I guess, a little documentary on her in relation to that. So that's good news there. And her graduations will be in, I think it's in Halifax in October. This next one here is from Public Works, and I'm just gonna touch on some of his stuff. Just gotta pull up a little chart here. I know, we had originally tendered for, 3 roads to get done. Sorry, I'm just pulling up a chart here. Pardon? I didn't hear you.
Do we
No.
have the
Do
chart?
we have that road chart?
Do we have the road chart?
Yeah. No, I didn't send you that, but no, this is, I know council had allocated some new funding to do some additional roads. I know they were originally proposing to do 3 roads, and I think they're gonna be doing that this summer. And the other 9, there's 9 additional roads that council allocated funding for. And that's, by the end of July, they're hoping that the tenders would close. So hopefully the company can get started before fall time and before it gets too cold, so that these 9 additional roads, and that's just what I'm gonna pull up here. There, I just wanna list off the, additional roads. Sorry, I just gotta re-enter my password here, cause my computer shuts down after a couple minutes of inactivity. So the additional roads that they're looking at is Seneca Road between first line and second line, Seneca Road between second line and third line, Tuscarora Road between second and third, first line between Seneca and Cheesewood, fifth line between Seneca and Cheesewood, Seneca Road fourth to fifth, Onondaga Road fourth to fifth, Cuga Road third to fourth, and Tuscarora Road fourth to fifth. So those would be the additional roads that Public Works is working on. A few other things, I know they're sending their audited statements to ISC in regards to the transfer station just to seek reimbursement because it was ISC was going to be funding that, so there's a little bit of a shortfall, so they're going to be sending that request into ISC to get reimbursed. As well, they submitted a proposal to the Six Nations Community Development Trust Fund for a new loader, so that's still pending. ISC as well approved funding for the assessments of 2 bridges, which is Bridge 6 located on third line between or just west of Cheesewood, and bridge number 10, which is located on Tuscarora Road between 5th and 6th. So they're going to be doing some assessments on that. As well, in regards to the water department, they went to ISC again, which is, I always call them the Department of Indian Affairs, which I always know them as. But it is because I was committed to some $800,000 to the shortfall in regards to the water department O&M budget. So they're going to be looking at that. And he's preparing an application to the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program. So it's a health and safety water stream to replace old water main on Bicentennial Trail and to overcoat the water tower. So that's pending applications. And in regards to the schools here on Six Nations, again, that's a ISC responsibility as federal schools. So over the last, I think this is over the last 3 years or 4 years, right now, they're in a $1.59 million deficit that they'll be seeking funds for from ISC in relation to that. I know it's always an ongoing issue with ISC. We always got to battle with them over some time to try and get the funds to secure their responsibility, what it takes to look after the schools. On a good note, ISC did provide $230,000 of some minor capital dollars to replace the roof at Jameson School, so that'll happen this summer. That's Public Works. And again, this technical service thing, again, this is one report that I had mentioned that it's still within Public Works, just a list of all their activities, and some of them overlap with some of the other projects that I read that Derek has. But one thing I did want to note was that the 12-plex for on Harold Road, they're figuring it's about 99% complete. So they'll be doing walkthroughs on that. And they're working with Brant County in regards to Chiefswood and Highway 54, so they're still looking at their roundabout. So they're in a process working with Brant County. I guess they have, he's stating here, they have about 95% complete on the design. I know it's just gonna take a little bit of space. I think we're council, they'll probably come to council in regards to some reallocation of land to support the space requirements for the turnaround. And I know they're doing a number of repairs at J.C. Hill, I.L. Thomas, Emily C. General, and Oliver M. Doing some summer minor capital projects. One of the other things they're looking at is developing solar speed signs within the village because of the schools here. So on Chiefswood and on Fourth Line, I guess there've been some concern regarding speeding when kids are going to school and coming home from school. So these speed signs will be posted, so you'll be well aware of where you are in regards to your speed with the posted speed limit. And again, just on those roads, the tender will be closing for those 9 additional roads will be closing in July. This one here is a little bit more difficult to follow because they're so busy. It may not seem they're busy, but it comes from Sarah, our environmental department. She's extremely busy with the issue she's got because she's a one-lady show. And she does the work for, seems like 2 or 3 people sometimes, the amount of things she reports to us. But some of the bigger things I just want to comment is, again, that we have is issues. And the biggest one is the importation of fill that's coming onto the territory. I know some places it may be just moving it around within the territory, but more times than any, it's coming from off. And I know that she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different locations she's just identified where they're on an ongoing concern. She is dealing with the ministry in relation to these issues. One of the things she's dealing with the ministry on is working with them to see about doing some well testing for areas surrounding those areas where dumping has been ongoing. So one of the areas that they're looking at here is on 1356 First Line, 3721 Fourth Line, Cheesewood Road across from Steyer's Gas, 1180 Cuga Road, 797 Cheesewood, 2497 Third Line. And she has a spot here on Fifth Line, but she's not given the blue number. So those are different areas that she's looking at and dealing with. They're all open cases for her right now in relation to what can be done. And one with the water testing and whether she's going to get into soil testing, which is going to be very costly. One of the other things she's working on is trying to find quotes because of, I guess historically when there used to be a natural gas company outside of Six Nations Natural Gas years ago, and then when they shut down, they had closed up some of the gas wells that were here. I guess they're called abandoned gas wells. So some of the ongoing concern was the process and methodology that was used to close those may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing these days. So right now she's looking at researching the cost on what it would take to close those, and it's a wide range, anywhere from 50,000 up to almost $1 million, depending on the extent of what is required. I know there's some community members who are well aware where those wells are located on their property and close to their homes, and I know there's been communication with them in regards to do's and don'ts. But we are looking into those and see what we can do to properly seal those in relation to public safety. That's pretty well it, what's going on, but I know the guys are very busy. I guess I know just from the flood, I know with Public Works and talking with Mike, I know those guys had long hours and trying to I know with all the flooding and the pumping stations trying to keep up to the massive amount of water that had come down in such a short period of time with the storm drains and the pumping stations to get rid of the wastewater, the black water or gray water. So I just want to thank all those guys for their hard work. And as Deb has already outlined already in relation to all the people dealing with the lodge and J. Silver Hills and clients. So that's it, Chief.
Okay, thank you for that update. Mover to accept built environment and climate adaptation lands and membership update. Moved by Cynthia, second by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Go ahead, Carrie. Use your mic.
Just a correction, it should be the BCom chair and not lands and resources, wealth and economy. At the very bottom line.
Yep. Brooks got that. Okay, thank you. So that concludes our meeting for tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Hazel, second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Thank you for joining us tonight and have a great night, everyone.